We welcome everyone into another edition of the Stingers Up Sacramento State Football Podcast. We thank you for joining us each and every week here. And tell a friend, let them know, let Hornet Nation, we are out there as our numbers continue to grow. But that's the only way it's going to grow, really, is word of mouth. All of you guys out there letting everybody know that we do this on a week-to-week basis during the football season. Today on the podcast, we look back at a big night at Hornet Stadium. Didn't go the way of the Hornets, but the national audience got a chance to see the then third-ranked Hornets take on number 2 Montana State. We'll recap that. We'll look ahead to this week's homecoming matchup against Idaho State, suddenly a very big game for Sacramento State. And we have a conversation with senior defensive lineman Tyler Hardeman. That's all coming up on our podcast. But let's start out with a look back at last Saturday's thriller. Number 2, Montana State. Number 3, Sacramento State. We anticipated, we told you last week, this was going to be a really tough game. It was going to take a lot for the Sacramento State Hornets to win, but we thought they could win if they did a lot of things well. And I think for part of the game, they did that. But you've got to do it for 4 quarters, consistency, limit mistakes. And I think in the end, the mistakes that the Hornets made proved to be too much and set the Bobcats up too many times. And a really talented team on all phases ended up with the win 42-30 over Sacramento State. But let's look back at some of the highlights and some of the ways to tell the story how we got there. First off, in a first quarter that was kind of flying by, limited possessions. The Bobcats moved the ball pretty well in their opening possession, but missed an opening field goal. So the Hornets, on their second possession, went down the field and were in scoring range late first quarter and went into the bag of tricks.
3rd down and 8. Hornets now in field goal range, but they want to try to punch it in the end zone. They'll send Elijah Tolliver in motion. He scoots back. Now it's an option play, fake end around. It's going to be to Scudero. Scudero to the outside, cuts inside, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown on his first touch as a Hornet. How about the dial up there by Bobby Frescus?
Ivan Garza, the left tackle, didn't even block anyone. That's how good the play worked on the double reverse, because the left tackle is out there, and there's so many blockers and no defenders out there that number 52 of the Hornets never touched anybody, and it still ends up being a touchdown. He set a moving screen, though. Fantastic.
Well, the Hornets score first on just a great deceptive play. Extra point is up and good, and with 58 seconds left, the Hornets take the lead 7-0. Timeout on the field. They faked the inside handoff, faked the option. It was a reverse from the receiver, and doing the rest, getting in the end zone, is Danny Scudero. Wow. Hornets lead 7-0, 58 seconds left first quarter.
So the Hornets led 7-0 there, and after one, had the 1-score lead. We go early second quarter. I mentioned earlier about mistakes, how they could hurt you. Well, the first one of the game by Sacramento State was very costly.
2nd down and 9. Bennett looks near sideline. Dangerous pass intercepted, and it's going to go for a touchdown. John Johnson. It was thrown on an outside shoulder throw. The Hornets turned in. Johnson gets a pick 6, and now we're an extra point from being tied.
Man. Chris Miller turned one way, and the throw was the other way. Straight to the defender. Pick 6, easy pick 6. And Caden Bennett, get a look at him coming off the field, disgusted. Take a look again. Miller broke to the inside. The pass went to the outside. So just a mix-up on the route. It was an out or an in, depending on who was right on that play.
So after that interception return for a score, we are tied at 7. The Bobcats would add a Chambers touchdown pass. Normally a runner, but he threw a touchdown pass to put Montana State up 14-7 at the half. In between time, we saw the Hornets have a missed field goal. The Bobcats had one earlier that I mentioned, but also 2 attempts late in the first half. They missed those. So at the break, it was number 2 Montana 14, number 3 Sacramento State 7. So let's take you to the third quarter. Down 14-7. Bobcats with that opening possession on the move, but the Hornets get a turnover back.
New set of downs. 1st and 10. Malott stays in at QB. Ball advanced to the Hornet 38-yard line. Here's an end-around reverse back to Chambers, who's in. This is the quarterback. He can throw it, but he's going to throw it late. Intercepted! He intercepted. It's the Hornets, and it's Dylan Janelle, his first pick of the year. He'll scoot up the near side and runs out of bounds at the 28. So Chambers could have run. He elected to throw it to Tommy Malott, the quarterback, and Dylan Janelle picked it off.
bad decision by Chambers. Great result for the Hornets getting a pick. Junell doing a fantastic job. He's a right-handed quarterback running to your left, and you don't want to do that on the reverse. And look how much green grass he has in front of him, and then he just throws a bad, terrible pass.
To his quarterback. I mean, you're making your quarterback have to make a play, and Junell easily picked that off. So the Hornets got a turnover back.
On the replay, I did see that the Hornets did have a little bit of late pressure coming.
Well, we couldn't celebrate very long the Dylan Junell interception because Sacramento State was giving mood right then. They turned it right back over in deep in their own territory, and right after that, the Bobcats punched it in. So now the Hornets are down 21-7, about 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. The next drive for the Hornets, you really felt like, this game could be slipping. Fulcher was back in the game but started and then didn't play much after that, so re-aggravated his injury. Ezra Maleni got injured and left the game, and we could see in a walking boot on the sideline. So the Hornets, again, deep, trying different running backs, went to a familiar face, Elijah Tolliver. They go back to him, and wow, the longest run of the season.
9 minutes left, third quarter. Sacramento State trailing 21-7. Tolliver in is the back. He'll get the carry. He'll run up the middle with a nice run. Tolliver to the 40. Spins off one. Stays on his feet. Tolliver to the outside. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Elijah Tolliver. 53 yards. And the Hornets within a score.
Impressive acceleration through the hole, but it was the 360 spin move as he got 10 yards downfield when he was hit. The 360 with the landing gear down on the left hand touched the ground, and beautiful.
So the Hornets pull within a touchdown at 21-14, still third quarter, and then even more drama, the ensuing kickoff.
Hornets will kick it away with the win. Schreiner does another low squib, scoots through, and goes all the way to the return man at the 10-yard line. And the Hornets can't quite corral Marquis Johnson, and then they do. He fumbled the ball at the end of the play. Did the Hornets get it?
The Hornets all say they have it. They're running off the field saying they have it. I'm not sure the officials recognized that the Hornets had it.
Well, they do have it. Sawyer Merrill has it. Will they signal? The officials haven't done it yet. Marquis Johnson, the former Hornet, 4 officials are gathered.
This could be our first replay of the night because I don't think any of the officials saw when the ball was recovered.
Let's see what they say here. First down, Hornets. Now they'll review this, but right now, Steve, that turnover puts the ball at the 25-yard line.
What a change of momentum.
So feeling like a momentum change, but not enough because the Hornets would get just a field goal with great field position. So still they'll take it, 21-17 at that moment. That takes us to the fourth quarter, still a 4-point game. Bobcats would score early in the fourth to extend the lead to 28-17, and needing points, the Hornets would get those points.
Well, a good response by the Hornets, but it goes without saying they need to get in the end zone. Second and short. We'll call it 3. Tolliver with the carry. Tolliver, good cut. Tolliver spins, and he falls into the end zone. Touchdown, Elijah Tolliver, his second of the night. This one from 10 yards out.
He is running so hard that they just need to keep giving him the rock because he is just slamming in there. Danny, you're down there. Tolliver is running like he's 10 guys in one.
He's running like a beast, guys, just like you need him. That was a great spin move at the line, and he stretched right in. Great call by the field judge right there. I was yelling at him, touchdown.
So it's 28-24, about 10 minutes to go. Unfortunately, the Bobcats had an answer every time. It took them 1 minute and 31 seconds to score. Big part of that was Julius Davis had a 49-yard run that he leaped and just jumped over Cameron Broussard, and it led to 49 yards. 2 plays later, they would score. Bobcats now in control at 35-24. Hornets were then forced to a 4th and 7, and a tough call for Andy Thompson deep in their own territory. They went for it. He obviously was playing to win the game. Not sure how many possessions he would have. They did not convert. Bobcats would score again, making it 42-24. The Hornets would add a late touchdown. Bennett to Gandy, go for 2, missed that. And ultimately, 42-30 was the final score as the number 2 Montana State Bobcats picked up the win over the number 3 Sacramento State Hornets. So the reality of the situation now for Sacramento State is a league title back-to-back-to-back has happened, but the fourth part of that equation might be darn near impossible. Nothing's completely eliminated, but with Montana State undefeated, it's going to be really tough for the Hornets to win the Big Sky title. Now, that's not their only goal they're playing for. Certainly that was a goal for the Hornets, but if you look at the standings, there's a group of teams just in conference play at 2-2. That's Northern Arizona, UC Davis, Portland State, Eastern Washington, and the Hornets. The teams at 3-1, some names you'd expect, Montana and Idaho. And there's Idaho State, the Hornets' next opponent now at 3-1. They've gotten new life with an impressive start to league play after losing all their non-league games, and the top spot belongs to Montana State. Before we hear from our guest this week, Tyler Hardeman, do want to spend a few moments at least on Idaho State and tell you about how their season has gone. We mentioned 3-4, but 3-1 in league. Tough schedule, non-league. They played up twice. They competed with San Diego State, lost on the road 36-28 to open their season. Went to Utah State, had a really rough day, gave up 78 points and lost that one, and then fell to 0-3 with a home loss to Northern Iowa. Hornets know them well. They've split with them over the last couple of years in their regular season home and home that they had with them. So they're 0-3 going into league play. Opened up Big Sky play with a 35-21 win over Northern Colorado. Came back into week 2 of the conference play. Lost to Montana, but very competitive by 8, 28-20. The game that I think turned, I wouldn't say their season around, but turned a whole bunch of confidence around for the for the Bengals, was their next week's performance against Eastern Washington. They were absolutely getting crushed, and they had a huge comeback, including 21-0 in the fourth quarter, and they rallied to beat Eastern Washington 42-41. So that gave them a 2-1 league start. Last week, they defeated Portland State on the road by 14, 38-24. So not a lot of people had high hopes for Idaho State, projected to be near the bottom of the conference. First-year head coach Cody Hawkins. Well, he's playing a 2-quarterback system. They throw the ball a ton. They get rid of it quickly and look for them to spread the field, have a lot of high-octane offense. That's at least their attempt. And I think their offensive line may be an area of question. So if the Hornets can get some pressure and force them out of their screen game and quick passing game, they'll have their chances. But if you're Idaho State, you're thinking, look, you're 3-1. If you could beat the Hornets, that would be a huge game, get them to 4-1. You've got Weber State, Davis, and then Idaho. Their only path to getting to the playoffs likely is winning this league. It seemed impossible early on, but look at this. Just a couple of wins can turn things around. Now, on the Hornets side of things, still should feel good about 5-2, but I've been saying 7 wins, I think, gets you in. It has in the past, not a guarantee. 8, I think, would be a lock. But, nothing's a gimme in the Big Sky. Everything is difficult. The Hornets are going to have to earn it this week. And if they could do that and get to 6-2, that will help them a lot with games after that at Montana, home for Cal Poly, and, of course, the rivalry against UC Davis, which that game could mean a ton for both teams. So Hornets really don't want to slip up anymore. They've had 2 losses to 2 very good teams. I mean, I want to credit Montana State. That's a very good team the Hornets played a week ago. The Idaho game, you almost wish the Hornets could have back, but that was on the road, and Idaho beat them. So we'll watch that. A couple other things to watch for this week. I don't know if you heard about the rule that was adapted this year, but it has been in FCS play in college football for a while that you can play 4 games and keep your red shirt. So what does that mean? Well, there's 4 games remaining for Sacramento State. The tricky part of that has been the last couple of years, the Hornets have been a playoff team, and you don't know how many games you're going to get in the playoffs. Could be 1. If you go all the way, it could be 3 or 4 games. But what the committee has decided to do is allow playoff games, unlimited amount of playoff games. So if the Hornets are trying to redshirt a transfer, trying to redshirt a freshman, and they haven't played them yet, they can play the remaining games of the regular season against Idaho State, against Montana, against Cal Poly, and against UC Davis. Whether that's running back help, maybe they need to do something there, maybe someone in the defensive side. Who knows where they might do it? They may not do it at all, but they have the opportunity. Idaho State, every team has the opportunity. Hornets could have played a red shirt. They wanted to red shirt the first 4 games. It just can't be more than 4 games in the regular season, and then if a team makes the postseason, it's unlimited. So it really helps the teams that are going to the postseason, or at least think they're going to the postseason, and it can help coaches plan that way. And maybe some coaches, I don't know what Andy Thompson's plan is at all, if they're looking to add anybody this late in the year and play him. Like last week, we hadn't seen Danny Scudero, who you heard in the highlight earlier, touch the ball yet as a Hornet. That counted a touch. He played in a game. He's played in one game. He can still play in 3 more and keep his redshirt year. So something to look forward to or look at to see if the Hornets or Idaho State or any team along the way implements that down the line. All right, so let's wrap things up today. Had a really good conversation with Tyler Hardeman. He's been in this Hornet program for a couple years, has been a part of this back-to-back-to-back championship run. In fact, was at Folsom before that, so he has been doing nothing but winning. So hope you enjoy this. I did myself, I know that. So here's my conversation with senior defensive lineman Tyler Hardeman. So here we are, joined by senior defensive lineman. Do you want to be defensive tackle, defensive? Like, what's your official title, Tyler?
I'd say I'm a defensive tackle, but yeah, the defensive tackle on our defense plays inside nose and defensive tackle. So yeah, defensive lineman, defensive tackle, both work. Yeah.
So Tyler Hardeman's with us, defensive tackle. What makes, in your mind, a good defensive lineman or defensive tackle?
I think the best defensive tackles are consistent. They hone their craft. They really can perform at a high level every play, and that's being able to recognize any blocks you see, executing the scheme, and using your individual technique to win the block in front of you. Yeah.
It reminds me, too, of a little bit like offensive linemen, because defensive tackles or the defensive line, but maybe the edge guys get some more stats. But there's just not as many, you're not getting interceptions and running them back that often or scooping scores. But it's a position that you really have to love, because there's so much responsibility, but maybe not a lot of stats attached to it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think everyone sees the constant double teams every play when you have 600 pounds on your back and the linebackers just filling the hole and making the play. But at the end of the day, it's just being in the right spot so the guys around you can make plays, and if that can help us win, that's all that matters, really. Yeah.
Yeah. What is a sequence like that? I know Philly, the Eagles, have that brotherly shove play where basically all 22 are in there. So if you've got a 4th down in inches, you're on that D line trying to, get a pushback, but in the end, probably everybody's falling on you. What's that play like for you?
Yeah, I think to me it's just knowing that I'm going to try my hardest to stop that play, and whether that's 1 on 11, I'm just going to try my hardest to get them stopped. Taking out their motor, taking out their legs, I think is the best way you can do it. So just try to get into their legs and stop them. Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning. How you got here? Obviously, locally, played at Folsom, very successful, wildly successful there. When did you know that you wanted to join the Hornets?
Yeah, so I was originally recruited actually by the old coaching staff in 2018, going into 2019. I played my senior year, had a couple other offers. I had an offer to go to University of North Dakota, University of San Diego, some walk-on opportunities, and the Folsom staff, a lot of the coaches got hired here at Sac State, and I talked to Coach Richardson. I was like, do I still have the offer that the old staff gave me? He's like, definitely, yeah. So at that point, it really became clear that I wanted to be a Hornet, just because I was so familiar with the coaching staff. I knew what they were going to bring to the school, and also that I got to play in front of my friends and family that I'm so close with. So I think that was huge for me, being close to family, and being able to go home, see my mom on the weekends. That's huge. So yeah, I think just as soon as the new staff changed, it just solidified it for sure. And yeah,
I think you're living right. It doesn't always happen where you win state titles and come to a program that has struggled, and then you have back-to-back Big Sky titles. I know it's more fun to win, but what's that run from high school to this program been like?
Honestly, it feels kind of like a dream. You couldn't even script it a better way, winning back-to-back state championships in high school. Freshman year, getting a chance to play and contribute to a Big Sky championship was awesome as well. First one in school history, yeah. That was huge. So to me, it was like tough to even think about having a losing season. So I think, yeah, it was just storybook script, and couldn't have written it a better way. Yeah.
Were you always slotted to be a defensive lineman? Because guys I've talked to, it's like, I came in last week. We visited with Marshall Martin. He was a running back. Now he's been incredibly successful tight end. Like guys move around. Have they always kind of pegged you as D-line?
Yeah, I played a little bit of defensive end in high school, a little bit of linebacker when I was younger growing up, but when I was recruited out of high school, it was always as a defensive tackle, defensive lineman, yeah.
So on the other side, what makes a good offensive lineman? You're trying to do your part to disrupt their offense, get to the quarterback, stop a running back. What not necessarily gives you trouble, but what in your mind makes a good O-lineman against you?
Yeah, the linemen that I think are the best are definitely the ones that have the best footwork. They got the best hands. They've really know their technique that they're using because we're both trying to play with the best technique possible. And if my technique versus theirs, if they got a great technique, I could tell they get taking great scoops, taking great reach blocks. I think the best O-lineman definitely just is a culmination of all those elements. And you could really tell when they know what they're doing, and I feel like it's a mutual respect when you both kind of have the same level of technique. So yeah, I think just overall all those elements.
So when a game ends, is there? I mean, you've been battling with a guard, a tackle, center. I mean, a lot of those guys for 60 minutes. Is there kind of a meet and not greet? I don't know. How's the end of a game go?
Yeah, it really depends on who it is. Personally, I'm a guy where I'm really focused on the play, really focused on my assignment. So I rarely talk ever to my opponent, the guard I'm going against, the center I'm going against. So there have been times when it's been a little chippy and there's been some mouthing going off back and forth, and maybe it's not the – it depends. Sometimes after it's a little bit of mutual respect, like it's all good, how's it going? Or it's like that was a great battle, like congrats, or go finish it out this season, kind of stuff like that. It really depends on who I'm going against, but I'm going to be the same every day. Every time I'm going to show my respect and congratulate them or just take our win and move on. Yeah.
And I'm sure, just like any sport, there's probably some I don't know if cheap shots is the right word, but just guys kind of maybe not doing it right. How do those games? You don't have to call anybody out, but how do those games go?
Yeah, I think stuff like that's unfortunate when it happens, but it is part of the game. Sometimes it happens. So I tend to just, if it happens to me, I'll move on. I got no hard feelings. If it was intentional, like they're trying to like take me out, I would definitely look at them differently. But fortunately, that doesn't happen too much. Maybe a couple of times since I've been here.
So you've graduated, which is already an incredible accomplishment. I still don't know how you guys do it with full-time. Basically, football is full-time, and I don't know if everybody realizes that. And school. Now you're doing graduate work. How have you put that all together here at Sac State?
I think consistency is the main thing. Just knowing what it takes to perform at a high level on the field and in the classroom, and just applying that every day. And if you slack off one day and if I don't do what I need to, then I'll be behind. And when you're behind the classroom, you stress about it in other areas of your life, whether that's with your family, like with football, you're just not focused. So if you stay on top of it all the time, that's when you can perform the best, I think, in the classroom and on the football field, and have the best relationships with your friends and family. So I think just staying consistent is the main thing, staying on top of it, definitely.
Seems like you've got your stuff together and figured it out. If you were starting day one today as a Hornet and could tell yourself back, like I'm just starting my journey, what I guess you've learned a lot of things here. What would you tell yourself?
Oh, that's a good one. I think the first thing I'd say is don't take a day off in the treatment room. Always make sure you're staying on top of your rehab, the maintenance work, the little stuff, and never lose sight of the details. The details really are, people talk about the devils in the details. You always got to focus on the details, but it really holds true. And that's in everything, especially playing D-line, like all the details inside your technique and scheme. It's just, definitely I'd focus on the details.
I know you had an impressive starting streak that ended, unfortunately, to start week one this year, which is something you just couldn't You guys are getting hit all the time, and then sometimes it can happen at practice when you get injured.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like what I just said in consistency when it comes down to starting a certain amount of games in a row. I was kind of proud of that just because it kind of goes along with everything I do.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I missed week 1, so I started the streak over, but it's all right. Finish this season out hopefully by starting the rest of the games.
Yeah. When the season does come to an end, hopefully a long way from now for you guys, what's next for you?
Yeah, hopefully finish up grad school, get my MBA, and then
how much more are there?
It depends on how many classes I take each semester, but it could be about a year. Finish up grad school, hopefully start working too. Want to do something in finance or sales potentially. So we'll see. Yeah. Looking for what next on my next horizon. Yeah.
As far as football, your football memories here, what 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, what stories are you going to tell? What are your memories going to be from your Hornet time? Your time as a Hornet.
It's going to be hard not to overlook the seasons in each individual game by looking at the rings and that kind of stuff. But there's been numerous games where it's like, oh, that game, I'll remember that for a long time. It's always the close games. It's never the blowouts are really fun, but I think the games where we showed most grit on the field, like those ones you feel the most passionate about. A couple that come to mind were Montana and Idaho last year. Stanford this year. Every Causeway game is always exciting and fun when you got both cities around you. I think those are a couple that really stand out. But at the end of the day, those rings really shine brightest and culminate all that hard work and the seasons as a whole.
What's cool for me is doing this for so long is seeing how many Hornets come back and then just the stuff they talk about and who they're still friends with. Oh, I played with him in this year. Who do you envision or some of the people that you think, I'm going to have lifetime relationships with these guys?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of weird to think sometimes that our coaches have, selected our best friends because we spend the most time with them out of anybody. But definitely my roommate now, Brandon Knott, who's on the defensive line with me, we spend a lot of time together. There's been numerous guys that I've developed relationships with that I think will last a long time. All of the D linemen were extremely close. Got Mason Brousseau, Jet Stanley, all these guys, everybody. I tend to make myself. I tend to make my way around the locker room in all position groups. So I feel like I'm pretty close with everybody, and I'm just excited to see where everybody ends up in life and the path everyone goes. So I think we got a lot of good guys on the team.
I think about when you guys run out of the tunnel here or the inflatable thing. It's got to be pretty cool. Helmet, cool moment. Yeah. Games at Stanford, the Causeway you mentioned. What's some of those places that in Montana that you've enjoyed really playing? Yeah,
I was just thinking about that while we were running out in this last game and the smoke's coming and everyone's cheering when the stands are packed. I just take a second sometimes to take it all in and appreciate where I am right now, just because it goes so fast you tend to lose sight of what you're doing. So playing at home is amazing. Those games where you run out and you're booed by 20,000 people, that's cool too. Yeah. I think sometimes a team runs on a little bit of that energy. So playing at Montana is a fun venue. Stanford was a fun venue just because playing at a Pac-12 school, not many times we get to play in such a cool environment. I think I'll always remember those, but playing at home definitely does it. Yeah.
How about ESPN last 2 years? That's kind of cool too, right?
Yeah, I think unfortunately with the outcome of this game, but last year's Montana game on ESPN, that one felt good, and then everyone storming the field, and then seeing my family on the field, that's always a cool thing. Yeah. So playing on a big stage is what every kid grows up wanted to do. Playing on ESPN, who doesn't want to do that? I've been extremely fortunate to be able to do that as well.
Well, you guys have won back-to-back conference titles. It's going to be tougher now based on the circumstances, but that doesn't mean that bigger goal still can't happen. What's your outlook for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think we we need to improve each week going in. This is at the point where you could either regress or make progress on the season. And as soon as the season's over and the playoffs start, we're 0-0. Doesn't matter where you finish. It's an open shot at winning that national championship. So I think we just need to get better each week and learn from the previous week and moving forward, and hopefully get to that goal where we want to be at the end of the season.
All right, lastly, quick thought on the Bengals. Idaho State's kind of turned it around here in league play. They've got 3 wins, so they're doing some things better. What do you see with the Bengals? Yeah,
they got a great offense. They throw the ball a lot. They move the ball all around the field. They got 2 guys that come in at quarterback. They like to spread out their splits on the O-line, make some room. I think they got a great squad. I think a lot of people probably overlooked the Bengals this year, but I think they are coming for it, and I think they're building something pretty good over there. So I think we, as a team, need to I think there's no one that isn't locked in, but I think everyone is ready for that challenge, and everyone knows how strong of a squad they are. So that's important for sure.
Well, Tyler, it's been great catching up with you. Wish you the best of luck the rest of the season, certainly in your future, and go Hornets.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on here. Appreciate it.
All right, my thanks to Tyler Hardeman. My thanks to all of you. Hopefully we see you out there Saturday night for the Hornets and Idaho State and homecoming. Let's fill up Hornet Stadium. Crowds have been great this year. Let's keep that going and keep, pardon the pun, but let's keep the buzz going for Sacramento State and Hornet football. All right, we're back next week. We'll recap Idaho State. We'll look ahead to the big matchup with Montana, all that and more. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Stingers Up Sacramento State Football Podcast.